High Marshal Kylak stood proudly on the command deck of the Devastator, his flagship leading the largest invasion fleet ever assembled in the history of the Xylaxian Empire. 9,900 warships spread across the darkness of space, their metallic hulls gleaming under the distant light of Earth's sun. "Final count confirmation," he commanded, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. 9,900 vessels present and battle-ready, High Marshal, Fleet Commander Nexus reported, her holographic display showing the massive armada arranged in perfect attack formation. "The largest fleet ever assembled is at your command." Kylak allowed himself a moment of pride. This would be the crowning achievement of the Empire, the conquest of the primitive world called Earth. Their intelligence suggested a fractured species still fighting among themselves, barely able to reach their own moon. This would be less a war and more a formality. "Begin the approach," he ordered. Standard conquest formation. Their vast fleet moved forward with mechanical precision, their advanced engines pushing them toward Earth at subliminal speeds. The humans' primitive detection systems would soon light up with warnings, giving them just enough time to realize the futility of resistance. In the depths of NORAD's upgraded command center, buried beneath Cheyenne Mountain, General Marcus Jong watched the approaching fleet with calculated calmness. The quantum sensors they'd secretly developed were tracking every single alien vessel. 9,900 ships, he noted to his executive officer, Colonel Rebecca Hudson. Exactly as the Artemis Protocol predicted. "They followed the exact approach vector too," Hudson replied, her fingers dancing across the neural-linked command interface. "Arrogant bastards didn't even try to mask their approach." Jong nodded, his expression grim but determined. "Initiate Operation Thanatos. All commands are now live." Across the planet, hidden installations began powering up. In the depths of every ocean, beneath the ice caps, and concealed within mountain ranges, weapons of unimaginable power stirred to life. Humanity had known this day was coming. They had prepared accordingly. The first indication that something was wrong came when the Xylaxian advance fleet crossed the moon's orbit. Their sensors suddenly detected energy signatures that shouldn't exist on such a primitive world. "High Marshal!" Nexus called out, alarm clear in her voice. "We're detecting quantum-level energy readings from the planet's surface." Kylak frowned, his confidence wavering for the first time. "Impossible. Their technology is centuries behind." His words were cut short as the first wave of Earth's defense systems activated. What appeared to be debris in orbit suddenly revealed themselves as cloaked weapon platforms. The moon's surface split open, revealing massive cannon emplacements that had been hidden for decades. "All ships, raise shields." Kylak commanded, but it was already too late. The first volley from Earth's defenses struck with devastating precision. Hundreds of Xylaxian ships exploded simultaneously as quantum-tipped missiles phased through their supposedly impenetrable shields. The space around Earth lit up with the death of proud warships that had never expected serious resistance. "How?" Kylak demanded, watching in horror as his perfect formation dissolved into chaos. "How is this possible?" On Earth, General Jong allowed himself a grim smile. "You should have done better research," he muttered. "We've been preparing for this since we first detected your probe ships decades ago." The Xylaxian fleet's attempts to return fire proved futile. Their weapons, designed to overwhelm primitive defenses, found themselves countered by technologies they hadn't believed possible. Earth's orbital defense grid activated in full, revealing layer upon layer of hidden weapons platforms. "Sir," Nexus reported, her voice shaking, "we've lost contact with the entire third quadrant. 800 ships, just gone." The humans' response was coordinated and devastating. From the ocean depths rose swarms of autonomous combat drones. The atmosphere itself seemed to turn against the invaders as weather control systems created localized storms that threw their formations into disarray. As the first hour of battle came to an end, the mighty Xylaxian fleet had lost over 2,000 ships. Their communications were filled with panic and disbelief. This was not the primitive world they had come to conquer. This was a civilization that had carefully hidden its true capabilities, waiting for this very moment. Through their command channels came a transmission from Earth. you brought 9,900 ships to conquer us. Let's see how many survive to tell the story of humanity's wrath. High Marshal Kylax gripped his command rail as another explosion rocked the Devastator. The first 6 hours of battle had turned into a nightmare. Status reports flooded in from the remaining fleet, each worse than the last. 3,200 ships lost, Fleet Commander Nexus reported, her voice hollow. We've never suffered such casualties in the Empire's history. Kylax snarled, his pride giving way to desperation. Launch the Worldbreaker weapons. If we can't have this planet, we'll make sure no one else will. Throughout the fleet, massive hangars opened, releasing sleek black missiles designed to crack planets. The Xylaxians had never failed to conquer a world before, and they'd rather destroy Earth than admit defeat. In Cheyenne Mountain, General Zhang watched the deployment with calculated calm. They are right on schedule, he noted to Colonel Hudson. Initiate Phase 2. As the Worldbreaker missiles descended toward Earth's atmosphere, something extraordinary happened. Massive energy signatures erupted from the planet's polar regions. The Aurora Borealis and Australis transformed into writhing curtains of pure energy, reaching out into space like giant hands. Impossible! Kylax screamed as he watched Earth's magnetic field itself come alive, catching and redirecting his ultimate weapons. What kind of demons are these humans? The answer came in the form of Dr. Olivia Patel, appearing on every screen in the Xylaxian fleet. The head of Earth's Quantum Defense Initiative stood in a gleaming laboratory, surrounded by technology that shouldn't have existed on this primitive world. Did you really think, she asked, her voice calm but carrying an edge of steel, that we wouldn't detect your probes? Your surveillance? We've been studying you for decades, learning your weaknesses, preparing for this day. The redirected Worldbreaker missiles turned back toward the Xylaxian fleet, their own planet-killing weapons now aimed at their ships. The resulting explosions consumed another 1,000 vessels in a matter of minutes. Kylax watched in horror as his mighty armada continued to crumble. Launch all fighters. Full assault pattern. Tens of thousands of fighter craft poured from the surviving warships, filling the space around Earth with a swarm of deadly vessels. It would have been an overwhelming sight, if humanity hadn't been ready. From hidden bases across the planet, Earth's own fighters emerged. But these weren't the primitive aircraft the Xylaxians expected. These were quantum-enhanced vessels, their designs incorporating decades of reverse-engineered alien technology. Leading the Earth's counterattack was Wing Commander Jason Park, his voice broadcasting across all frequencies: Guardian Squadron, Valkyrie Squadron, Thor Squadron, weapons free. Show them why you don't mess with humanity. The space battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. Earth's fighters, piloted by both humans and AI systems, demonstrated maneuvers that defied conventional physics. They phased through Xylaxian energy barriers, used localized time dilation to avoid enemy fire, and struck with weapons that ignored traditional defensive systems. Sir, Nexus reported, her voice trembling, we've lost another battle group. The humans, they are not just fighting us. They are hunting us. She was right. Earth's forces weren't merely defending, they were systematically dismantling the Xylaxian fleet. Every counter-strategy the aliens attempted was met with a prepared response. Every tactical advantage they thought they held was turned against them. By the 12th hour of battle, the mighty invasion force had been reduced to less than 4,000 ships. The space around Earth was littered with the debris of shattered Xylaxian vessels, a graveyard of imperial arrogance. Dr. Patel's voice came through again, this time addressing Kylax directly. Your empire has conquered 87 worlds. We know because we decoded your databases years ago. But Earth will not be the 88th. We are not some primitive species for you to subjugate. We are humanity, and we have been preparing for war since we first learned to make fire. To demonstrate her point, massive platforms began rising from Earth's oceans. What the Xylaxians had assumed were deep-sea trenches were actually camouflaged construction yards. Dozens of massive warships, built by humanity in secret, emerged from the waters. These, Dr. Patel continued, are just our prototypes. Reverse-engineered from every piece of alien technology we could find. Would you like to see what else we've been working on? The human vessels opened fire, their weapons combining traditional human ingenuity with adapted alien technology. They hadn't just copied the alien tech, they'd improved upon it, creating hybrid systems that the Xylaxians had never imagined possible. As another wave of explosions lit up Earth's orbit, Kylax realized a terrible truth: they hadn't stumbled upon a primitive world ripe for conquest. They had walked into a trap generations in the making. Humanity hadn't just prepared for war, they had prepared specifically for this war, against this enemy. All ships, he commanded, his voice hoarse, fall back to secondary positions. Regroup at the lunar orbit. But as his surviving ships attempted to retreat, they found their path blocked by debris fields that seemed to move with purpose. The humans had weaponized even the remnants of destroyed ships, turning them into a deadly obstacle course that herded the Xylaxian fleet exactly where Earth's forces wanted them. The battle was far from over, but one thing had become devastatingly clear: the 9,900 ships that had arrived in triumph would never leave Earth's orbit intact. The only question remaining was how many, if any, would survive to warn the Empire of humanity's terrible power. The lunar surface glowed with the light of 1,000 explosions as the remnants of the once mighty Xylaxian fleet struggled to maintain their defensive position. Of the original 9,900 ships, barely 3,000 remained operational. The space around Earth's moon had become a graveyard of shattered Imperial dreams. High Marshal Kylax stared at the tactical display, his face ashen. Status report on the quantum shield matrix. Failing, sir, Fleet Commander Nexus replied, her hands trembling as she worked the controls. The humans, they are not just breaking through our defenses. They are adapting to every countermeasure we deploy. A new voice cut through their command frequency: Admiral James Chen of Earth's Combined Space Defense Force. Your shield matrix has 37 critical vulnerabilities. Would you like us to demonstrate them all? As if to emphasize his point, another wave of precision strikes tore through the Xylaxian formation. Earth's forces had surrounded the moon in a three-dimensional web of death, methodically destroying ship after ship with terrifying efficiency. In the depths of the Artemis lunar base, Admiral Chen watched the battle unfold alongside his tactical AI, Athena. The artificial intelligence processed combat data in real time, predicting enemy movements before they happened. The Xylaxians are attempting to consolidate their remaining forces into a spear formation, Athena reported, her holographic form highlighting key tactical displays. They are preparing for a desperate push toward Earth. Chen nodded grimly. They still don't understand what they are facing. Initiate Operation Ragnarok. Across Earth's surface, massive electromagnetic accelerators emerged from their camouflaged positions. These weren't the primitive railguns the Xylaxians had expected, they were quantum-enhanced mass drivers, capable of launching projectiles at near-relativistic speeds. High Marshal Kylax watched in horror as the first salvo approached his fleet. Impossible. Their targeting systems can't be this precise at lunar distance. But they were. Each shot found its mark with devastating accuracy, the kinetic energy alone enough to shatter Xylaxian warships like glass. The humans hadn't just prepared defensive weapons, they had built an arsenal specifically designed to counter every advantage the Xylaxian fleet possessed. Sir! Nexus cried out, we're detecting new energy signatures. The humans are deploying something from their asteroid belt. Hidden within the debris of the asteroid belt, humanity's most ambitious military project revealed itself. Operation Zeus, a network of automated battle stations that had been constructed in secret over the past 2 decades. Each station housed weapons that combined human innovation with reverse-engineered alien technology. Dr. Patel's voice returned to the command channel. Did you think we would only defend Earth? We've been fortifying our entire solar system while your probes watched our primitive surface activities. The Zeus stations opened fire, their quantum-tipped missiles phasing through space in ways that defied conventional physics. Another wave of Xylaxian ships disappeared in balls of plasma and twisted metal. In a desperate bid for survival, Kylax ordered his remaining ships to scatter. Break formation. Every vessel for itself. Retreat through any vector possible. But the humans had predicted this too. The debris field from earlier battles suddenly came alive with hidden mines, while squadrons of Earth fighters emerged from stealth positions, picking off fleeing ships with surgical precision. Wing Commander Park's voice crackled through the chaos. Remember your training. Don't let a single ship escape without paying the price. The space around the moon became a killing field. Xylaxian ships, trying to escape in every direction, found themselves herded into prepared kill zones. Earth's forces had turned space itself into a weapon, using gravitational distortions and quantum fields to trap and destroy their enemies. 2,000 ships lost in this engagement alone, Athena reported to Admiral Chen. Their command structure is completely broken. They are now fighting as individual units without coordination. Chen watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. Humanity spent centuries fighting itself, learning the art of warfare the hard way. Did they really think we wouldn't be ready when we faced an external threat? The remaining Xylaxian ships, now numbering less than 1,000, tried one final desperate tactic. They attempted to use their own ships as kinetic weapons, plotting suicide runs against Earth's major cities. But humanity had prepared for this too. The quantum defense grid that surrounded the planet activated in full, creating a barrier that no Xylaxian ship could penetrate. Their suicide runs ended in spectacular explosions against an invisible wall, adding more debris to the cloud of destruction around Earth. Sir, Nexus reported to Kylax, her voice barely a whisper, we've lost contact with the entire Third Fleet. Our remaining ships number less than 800. Kylax stared at the tactical display, watching as humanity's forces continued their methodical destruction of his fleet. This wasn't just a defeat, it was an extinction-level event for the Xylaxian military. All remaining ships, he transmitted, his voice heavy with defeat, prepare for emergency quantum jump. We must warn the Empire of what we've found here. But as his ships tried to power up their quantum drives, they discovered one final, devastating truth: the humans had been subtly interfering with their drive systems throughout the entire battle. Only a small fraction of the remaining vessels would even be capable of escape. Their message from Earth was clear: they weren't just defending their world, they were sending a message to the galaxy. Humanity was not to be trifled with. The remnants of the Xylaxian fleet, now reduced to less than 800 ships from their original 9,900, huddled in the shadow of Mars. Their once proud formation was now a scattered collection of damaged vessels, each bearing the scars of Earth's devastating counterattack. High Marshal Kylax, his command bridge now operating on emergency power, made his final desperate gambit. Deploy the Omega Protocol. All ships, initiate simultaneous quantum core overload. Fleet Commander Nexus stared at him in horror. Sir, that would create a chain reaction that could destabilize the entire solar system. Better to destroy everything than face this humiliation, Kylax snarled, his pride overwhelming his reason. Execute the order. But even as the Xylaxian ships began their suicidal power-up sequence, a new voice cut through their command channels. I wouldn't do that if I were you. The calm, almost amused tone belonged to Dr. Victor Ramirez, Earth's leading quantum physicist. In his laboratory beneath the Atacama Desert, Dr. Ramirez stood surrounded by holographic displays showing the quantum signatures of every remaining Xylaxian vessel. Your quantum cores are already compromised. We've been subtly altering their fundamental matrices since the battle began. If you try to overload them now. He left the implication hanging. To demonstrate his point, a small burst of energy from an Earth defense satellite triggered a cascading failure in one of the Xylaxian ships attempting the overload. Their vessel imploded, collapsing in on itself without damaging any surrounding space. Admiral Chen's voice joined the channel from Lunar Command. You see, we humans have a saying: never interrupt your enemy when they are making a mistake. We've been letting you think you still had control of your own ships. The revelation hit the Xylaxian fleet like a physical blow. They hadn't just been defeated in battle, they'd been completely outmaneuvered on every conceivable level. Their ships, their weapons, even their quantum cores had been compromised from the very beginning. Impossible. Kylax raged. Our technology is centuries ahead of yours. Was centuries ahead of ours, corrected Dr. Ramirez. We've had decades to study your probe ships, your stealth surveillances, every piece of technology you so carelessly left in our solar system. We didn't just copy your advancements, we improved them. As if to prove his point, the quantum field surrounding Earth's forces shifted, revealing dozens of stealth vessels that had been shadowing the Xylaxian fleet. Each one was equipped with technology that seemed to be a hybrid of human ingenuity and enhanced alien systems. Wing Commander Park's squadrons moved into attack position, their ships now clearly visible. The sleek vessels were unlike anything the Xylaxians had ever seen, a perfect fusion of human and reverse-engineered alien technology. All squadrons, Park commanded, execute Operation Endgame. Show them why humanity hasn't just survived, but thrived on conflict. The attack that followed was beyond devastating. Earth's forces had been holding back, studying the Xylaxian reactions, letting them think they still had a chance. Now, with the enemy's final gambit revealed and countered, they unleashed their full potential. Quantum-tipped missiles phased through supposedly impenetrable shields. Gravitational weapons created localized singularities that crushed Xylaxian ships into atoms. Advanced AI systems predicted and countered every possible defensive maneuver before the aliens could even execute them. Status report. Kylax demanded, watching his fleet disappear ship by ship. We've lost contact with half the remaining fleet, Nexus replied, her voice shaking. Only 300 ships still responding. No, wait, 250, 200. The numbers kept dropping as Earth's forces executed their final attack pattern. The humans weren't just fighting to win, they were fighting to send a message to the galaxy at large. Athena's voice echoed through every surviving Xylaxian ship. Your empire has conquered 87 worlds by relying on technological superiority. Today, you learn what happens when you encounter a species that has mastered both technology and warfare. The hybrid human-alien weapons continued their devastating work. Xylaxian ships disappeared one after another, their advanced technology proving worthless against weapons they had never imagined possible. The humans had taken the Xylaxians' greatest strengths and turned them into fatal weaknesses. Sir, Nexus reported, her voice barely a whisper, we're down to less than 50 operational vessels. Our quantum drive systems are failing across the board. We can't retreat. Kylax watched as another wave of his ships vanished in a series of precisely coordinated attacks. The humans weren't just destroying his fleet, they were doing it with an efficiency that bordered on artistry. Each strike was calculated not just to destroy, but to demonstrate absolute dominance. All remaining ships, he transmitted, his voice heavy with the weight of complete defeat, prepare for emergency quantum jump. Anyone who can still activate their drives, save yourselves. Warned the Empire. But as the surviving ships attempted to flee, they discovered that even this limited retreat was part of humanity's plan. The quantum space around them had been carefully manipulated, creating only a few narrow corridors through which escape was possible. Let them run, Admiral Chen commanded as the few surviving ships desperately engaged their quantum drives. Let them tell the galaxy what happens when you underestimate humanity. As the last desperate jumps were initiated, both humans and Xylaxians knew that this battle would change the galaxy forever. The message was clear, Earth was not a prize to be claimed. It was a force to be reckoned with. The last 50 ships of what had once been the mightiest fleet in the Xylaxian Empire scattered like cosmic dust in the void between Mars and Jupiter. Their once pristine hulls were scarred and broken, their proud crews reduced to terrified survivors desperately seeking escape. High Marshal Kylax stood on his crumbling bridge, watching as the final remnants of his fleet attempted their quantum jumps. The mighty Devastator, once the pride of the Empire, now limped through space with failing systems and depleted shields. Final count, Fleet Commander Nexus reported, her voice hollow with defeat. 43 ships still operational, attempting quantum jumps. From Earth's Quantum Command Center, Dr. Ramirez monitored the energy signatures of the fleeing vessels. Only 28 of them have functional quantum drives, he reported to Admiral Chen. The rest are just pushing their engines toward inevitable failure. Admiral Chen nodded grimly. Athena, execute final phase of Operation Exodus. Let's make sure the right message gets back to their empire. The Ares response was immediate. Calculating optimal survival ratio for maximum psychological impact. Recommendation: 17 ships should be allowed to escape. This number will be small enough to demonstrate our overwhelming victory, yet large enough to ensure the story spreads throughout their empire. In the space around the fleeing ships, humanity's final trap revealed itself. The quantum corridors through which the Xylaxians were attempting to escape had been carefully crafted. Only specific paths would allow successful quantum jumps, the rest would result in catastrophic drive failure. "Sir!" Nexus cried out as another ship attempted to jump, only to implode as its quantum field collapsed. They are hurting us. The humans are choosing who escapes." She was right. Earth's forces had created a deadly labyrinth in quantum space itself. Only ships that followed very specific vectors would survive their escape attempt. It was the final demonstration of humanity's absolute control over the battle. Dr. Patel's voice cut through the chaos one last time. "You came here believing you would find an easy conquest. Instead, you discovered a species that has turned warfare into an art form. Let those who survive remember this day." The space around the fleeing ships lit up with precisely targeted weapons fire. Not aimed to destroy, but to guide, pushing surviving ships into the safe quantum corridors while eliminating others with surgical precision. 35 ships remaining, Athena reported dispassionately. Continuing controlled elimination process. Wing Commander Park's squadrons executed their final attack runs with deadly accuracy. Each shot was calculated not just to destroy, but to contribute to the overall message Earth wanted to send to the galaxy. 28 ships, the AI continued its count. 25, 22. High Marshal Kylax watched in helpless rage as ship after ship either successfully jumped to safety or died in flames. There was no pattern he could discern, no way to predict which vessels would be allowed to escape. The humans were in complete control, orchestrating even their enemies' retreat. 20 ships remaining, Athena announced. Initiating final selection protocol. The last phase of the battle wasn't really a battle at all, it was a carefully choreographed demonstration of power. Earth's forces could have destroyed every remaining ship. Instead, they were choosing to let exactly 17 survive. "You should feel honored," Admiral Chen transmitted to the surviving ships. "You've been chosen to tell this story. Let everyone know what happened here. Let them know that Earth is not a target, it is a warning." Kylax's ship shuddered as its quantum drive engaged. He was among the chosen 17. As his vessel prepared to jump, the final transmission from Earth burned itself into his memory. Dr. Ramirez's voice was almost gentle. 9,900 ships came to conquer Earth. 17 are being allowed to leave. Remember these numbers. They tell our story better than any words could. The 17 surviving ships, scattered across different escape vectors, made their quantum jumps. Behind them, Earth's forces maintained their perfect formation, a final display of the discipline and power that had destroyed the greatest invasion fleet ever assembled. In the aftermath, Admiral Chen stood in the Lunar Command Center, watching the quantum signatures of the escaping ships fade into deep space. "Athena, status report." "Operation complete," the AI responded. 17 ships successfully escaped, carrying survivors from different command levels and ship classes. Maximum information dispersal assured. The story will spread exactly as planned. Dr. Patel joined them via hologram, her expression satisfied. The message will reach every corner of their empire. Earth was not unprepared. We were not helpless. We were waiting, ready, and willing to demonstrate why humanity has survived every challenge it has ever faced. In the decades that followed, the story of Earth's defense would become legend throughout the galaxy. 9,900 ships of the mighty Xylaxian Empire had arrived in proud formation, believing they faced an easy conquest. Only 17 had fled in terror, carrying with them a warning that would echo across the stars. Earth was not a prize to be claimed. It was not a target to be conquered. It was the graveyard of empires, the destroyer of fleets, and its people had mastered the art of war in ways that would terrify the galaxy for generations to come. The invasion that was meant to be the Xylaxian Empire's greatest triumph had instead become their most devastating lesson: never underestimate humanity. For when the smoke cleared and the debris of battle drifted in the solar wind, the numbers told the story that would reshape galactic history, 9,900 to 17. Those numbers would become a warning, whispered across alien worlds, beware the humans of Earth. They do not fight merely to survive. They fight to dominate. And they have been preparing for war since the first alien ship entered their solar system, watching, waiting, and building the means to demonstrate why Earth should never be challenged again.